G'day guys, Jake here, coach of Dunkley's Donuts, and as always, welcome to Hat Chat. I've said as always, but I don't know if our listeners have picked up on that, or at least those from our Spotify stream, but we are 155 episodes into our career, and we are trying new things.
We've just discovered YouTube.
We've automated the intro, and we're out on YouTube. This is outrageous. In the year 2040, we'll finally be introduced to TikTok. But until then, we're just figuring all these things out. So if it sounds a bit different, let us know. But of course, I am here with only one of my favourite hat chatters, but also our favourite of the fill-ins. It's not Phil, but it is Urban, our boy from over the West. How are you, mate? And
I'm good, mate.
Feels only fitting to have you on during Lord of the Buys.
Well, I tried to make an effort to get on for Lord of the Buys, and at my age, once you mention tubes, I start getting a little bit concerned. But I'm all good, mate. As the season is going very well, probably in the best position I've been for many a decade. Coming out of the buys anyway, so we'll see how that goes going forward. But glad to be back with you boys.
Good to see how well the boys are tracking. And I must admit, I did hear that as soon as there was mention of this going on YouTube and having your face out there, there was both significant more interest and a little bit more concern from your end, but you're here nonetheless. So you must have decided it was all good and get that face out there.
Well, I can always change it tomorrow. Who knows? This could not be me. Could not be me. Could be a very good ventriloquist that I've got. Who knows?
Well, DC,
I hope you're not a puppet. You haven't got someone's hand up your ass.
Well, Gabe, when you get to my age as well, tubes and that.
DC,
get banned from YouTube on the first episode.
Good to see you first and foremost. This is a bit different for us. It's so weird. It's actually no different whatsoever. But there's some part of me that's feeling much more pressure and conscious of how much I'm drinking during the show, so that someone doesn't call Alcoholics Anonymous on us. But
I mean, what is? I'm good. What is really weird is that real peek behind the curtain. This is the first time we've actually used video at all. Just all the other episodes, we don't even look at each other. So I'm finally working out what Jake looks like. It's amazing. But no, excited to see how this goes. And also, I was just thinking, I reckon this is probably the first time we've had Urban on the show in 30 odd episodes. Maybe you've done with us, Urban, 20 to 30.
Yeah,
we've actually got you on to give us credibility.
Yes, this is a rare air that we are swimming through at the moment. So I'm very happy to come on.
Yeah. Well, Urban doesn't even know about the record, the Guinness World Record that we think we've achieved this week, which we'll get to very shortly. But I'll start with you, DC. You did pip me by a measly point this week, which was a little disappointing to find out late in the piece. A weird week, I think. I certainly thought that I had a lot of decent scorers, but apparently the round rank suggested that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was a strange week. I think I was on track for maybe a slight move up. Trades were okay again, and then the Jack Sinclair injury happened. And unfortunately, my 19th scorer was our boy April Fitz with his 48, I think it was. So that ended up counting for me instead of Jack Steele's score being my 18th score. So that really stung. It probably cost me 50 points on my total. And obviously, Sinclair was a pretty common player, but I think probably... Yeah, it might have got burnt a bit harder than a few other teams. And to top it off, I had Nick Newman on the bench as well because I benched him to loop Hugo Hulk-Khan's score. So it was a bit of a frustrating round, but some decent scores in there anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting one and also frustrating for me to hear because I had two 70s drop off. I had what I thought was a really good round. I had no low scores whatsoever. I had Steele drop off. I had 70s drop off, even with Sinclair's 2. Which was outrageous. So, not sure how I scored. Yeah, I'm not sure how I scored what I did. How far did you slide this week, DC, with that 19?
Couple of hundred, 250 odd spots. So down to 3,357. So just kind of moping around in those like kind of nowhere ranks where I'm not going terribly, but I'm nowhere near a hat and probably almost now too far outside of 1,000 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Urban, you did top score for the week, although we went pretty close.
Only just.
For all of us this week, yeah.
Throw a blanket over us, as they say. 1927 this week. So, again, I had 5 primos on the buy, so I thought I was going pretty well. primos that I'd held anyway. And Sinclair injury, I was hoping to get another 40, 50 added to my score for that. But a 1927, dropped my rank maybe a couple of hundred spots, maybe, or only 50, 60 spots. Or no, actually 180. There we go. More accurate. To 1677. So coming into the buys, I was about 4,600. So I'm still up 3K over the buys. So I'll take that. But would have liked to have kept that trajectory going up last week. So bounce back this weekend and see where we'll sit at the end of the buys.
More importantly, what were you doing in 1927, Em?
Hey, it was for the Roaring 20s. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, we've just come out of the World War One. We were loving life. Nothing could affect our future, we thought.
And then the Great Depression happened.
Oh, yes. Don't remind me about that.
Tough years. But Urban, you beat me by 5 points. Obviously, beat DC by 4. A 1922 for me, which again was a bit of a disappointing end to what I thought was a good round, but was less of a disappointing end was what DC realised tonight, that after some late adjustments, I was ranked 15,327th last week, and I am ranked 15,327th this week. I have not
magic.
I have not moved a spot, and I want to call out to our listeners. Has anyone ever been ranked higher than 15,327?
Has anyone ever been more mediocre than that?
That is, I know our listeners were thinking, what was the past score for 15,327 this week? And I can tell you right now, it's 1922.
And 22.
Bit of a strange one.
It's a special effort.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can say they've done that before. It's certainly unique to me, as most things on this podcast. But one of those that is not is the Content Creators Cup. In unsurprising news, I lost again this week. As Bales texted me, I have an uncanny knack of coming up against the highest scorer, which I did again this week, to Mitch from the Ball Boys with a 1988. I would have beaten Nathan. DC, you obviously would have beaten me by a point, but instead you also managed to come up against one of your top of the table brethren and come out with a good result, I think.
And we are brethren. I've always thought of us as brethren. But yeah, got the points over Taser. Good fella, Taser. But yeah, snuck a win by 5 points. So happy with that. It still means I'm in third, but now only one game behind him in second.
Beautiful. And Holmesy taking the lead. He has absolutely flown this second half of the year, as he is known to do. And I think he's now got the lowest rank on the Content Creators Cup, DC. He's jumped ahead of yourself and Nathan and Bales, I think, as a top 3 at the moment as well.
Yeah. He definitely knows how to play, particularly the second half of the year. He always comes home with a wet sail. So, yeah, going well. His old Holmes. He doesn't stop him whinging in the group chats, but he's going well.
Yeah, nothing will stop that. But Urban, we've got you on for a reason, of course, and I believe there's been a bit of movement up the top of the Lord of the Buys rankings.
There has been, mate, and I did have it open, and the laptop's just gone to sleep. But we have got, is it Gornsey's? What? Who's up there? Anyone got it?
Gorn in 60 seconds.
Did he have a 21-17?
He had a 2171, which could
even
be
better.
Dyslexia or
huge
writing
score. I was in a few competitions, and you'd seen people who had Nasiah over Sinclair really benefited this week, and that's a huge score. So that shoots him into first place. We've got one round to go. It is pretty tight up there. I do try to remember. This laptop's just totally ruined me. Yeah, so 1 week to go. Hopefully it'll be a bit of change next week, but we should see most teams have round 16 buys sorted out. So it may stay as it is. It may not. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I think, Gorn in 60 seconds has come out of nowhere with a massive score this week to kind of take the lead by 25 points from Casey's Tigers and 6 points ahead of Embrace the Chaos, or KOs, who's been there the last couple of weeks. And once again, I think the interesting part of this is Gorn in 60 seconds, 205th overall. Embrace the Chaos, really disappointing week this week, now 240th overall. And then Zan Tips in 4th, 285th overall. So 3 of the top 4 fighting for a hat. But of course, Casey's Tigers in second, ranked outside the Jake ranks at 16,300.
Okay.
What are you doing there?
That is what I.
Hey, what's your excuse?
Mid-season competition.
It's a competition for all, isn't it? And you can have yourself a little win, even if you're down in the Jake ranks. but really, let's just see how you stack up against everyone else. And it's something you can follow for the rest of the year and see how the back half of your season goes against some of the competition.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am rooting for Casey's Tigers this week. I want to see someone in the Jake ranks take away the competition this year. Well deserved, albeit embrace the chaos. KO has been leading a lot of the way, so fingers crossed for Matt there as well. But let's get some awards wrapped through before we get to some questions. DC, you're going to give it to a man who you have quite a love-hate relationship with, but it is nice when you've got him and he pops scores like this.
Yeah, I brought in Nick Dacos this week. Gee, he's quite a good player. People really should consider bringing him in. Traded Baz Smith to him, and glad it went pretty well.
Awesome stuff. I also would have given this to debut Dacos, who I had as well, but I'll give it to my boy Noah, aka Hugo Hall-Khan. Excellent score. Looks like a real footballer. I mentioned it after Nixie's press conference a few weeks ago. I really had some high hopes. I still didn't expect a ton, particularly with Mark Keane back in the team. So a lot of coaches out there stoked with a bit of flexibility, either around D6 for some Sinclair coverage or maybe a 23rd premium in disguise. But Urban, you must have been cheering for many, many reasons, and this man only added to the enjoyment for you.
Well, the season's pretty good so far, isn't it? But we see the word and name unicorn bandied around, but we know there's only one true unicorn, and that is LJ on the Thursday night. 166. That's a monstrous score. So very good to get a return there from him. It's been a bit up and down. With the way the team's traveling, in-game management and stuff like that, he's sort of been getting himself away to a good score in games and then just quieting off in that fourth or halfway through the third. So it's good to see him put 4 quarters in. He needed to because the game was close. And 166 is the reminder of what the unicorn can do.
Absolutely.
I had him VC'd in our keeper league as well, which led my keeper team to outscore my classic team, which was absolutely ridiculous.
It's sold. I thought about it, right? And then didn't do it. I thought about Dacos and didn't do it. It would have been nice to have that on the Thursday night.
No, I think no complaints there, and I'm sure you're considering your trips and your availability in September as well, Urban. But
well, the holidays are in at work. I've booked holidays. We'll see how we go.
For all of September.
Got to be flexible, DC. But Melican Award for Dud of the Week. There has been less for me this week. I'm going to give it to Jack Steele just because he's finally getting out of my team and he's been woefully disappointing now since probably week 4 of the season. He did start quite well and hasn't really had too many good weeks since then. So he can get my Melican right as I kick him out of my side. And DC, I guess this is one of those where he's not been poor, he's not been great, but he's just not right where you want him to be, particularly when you cop a Sinclair 2 in the back line as well.
Yeah, I'll throw it to Lockie Whitfield. Horrible last quarter, barely touched it. Played a bit forward, I think. So was going okay with that last quarter, just left him with a mediocre score. And I kind of wonder I think he's 30, 31 now, Lockie. I kind of wonder whether we're actually starting to see a bit of a decline from him in terms of fantasy scoring and whether we might have actually seen the best of him. And I think he'll still be top 6 this year, but just wonder whether he's going to end up just slowly trailing off, a little bit like we've seen some other gun defenders in the past, guys like Jake Lloyd and stuff with slight changes to roles. So we'll see what happens there. But been a frustrating own between the injuries and some mediocre scores.
Yeah, I think, there was a little bit of attention this week. I think that was definitely noticed. Cottrell kind of playing on him a little bit, and I wonder if there was some of that change late. But
maybe he just doesn't like harmonica, and that's why he was running down the other end of the field to get away from it.
Could have been that. But hopefully we see a bit of a bounce back next week. But Urban, you are going to give it to someone who played in the same game as Wacko Jacko, but hasn't quite lived up to their heights.
Other end of the spectrum. I feel a bit bad because he probably shouldn't still be in my team, but we are holding these kind of forwards as we try and see the top 6 kind of balance out. But it's going to go to Shea Bolton. 53 in the first half, pretty much just for the second half. 53, I think he had at halftime, and looked on for a massive one, and then a 2-point third quarter. And you do the math, and those amount of points in the fourth. So Not good enough, but he probably shouldn't be in my team still. With those moves are going to be made post-bye. But for now, he gets it. You can't have a second half like that.
Good call. All right, boys, let's get into the questions. First one comes from Lockie. Again, I make this joke every week, but actually in this case, we're talking defenders. It could be the Whitfield variety. He's just heard DC's blast and he's really considering his options. So he said he only has 2 primos on the bye this week and cashed up last week. So is it crazy, in honor of our award, to grab Baz or Naz this week so that I can get the other one next week? I mean, I guess in principle, DC, getting both of those boys in 2 consecutive weeks is a good thing. But doing so when one is on his bye, would you be doing it, DC?
No, probably not. I think you've got a pretty big advantage this week of only having 2 primos on the bye. So I think I'd be, taking advantage of that. I'd try and have a really big week when we just saw at the top of the Lord of the Buys leaderboard. If you can drop that sort of 2,100 during the buys, you can put 300-400 points on some other teams that are sort of struggling to field a best 18. So, I don't think I'd be doing that. Just trying to think of what your other options would be. It's kind of hard without knowing exactly who he's got in his team. But I think there's a few other premium options now that have all had buys that you could jump on instead.
I think, Urban, my initial thought is if it's Baz or Naz, in your midfield, you've probably not got, let's just use some of the names comparatively, Dawson, Dacos, Merritt. You probably don't have all 3, like a lot of teams wouldn't.
Yeah.
Even Nando in current form. There's probably a couple of other guys. I think defenders is a bit harder.
Heaney.
Yeah, Heaney. I think defenders is a bit harder now that we've had a couple of big names drop out. But I would have thought you'd just go one of those guys and just have to worry about Baz a couple of weeks down the track and prioritize Naz next week. That's where my head goes, Urban.
Yeah, and I'd agree, Jake. It's there's got to be an option. You'd think, without seeing the team, there's got to be an option there that you can grab this week. These are 2 players that we do want before the end of the season, and generally speaking, as soon as possible. But bringing one in on the bye wouldn't be my play. You'd have to be pretty confident in the rest of your team to make that move. I'm sure bring one next week. I think you just want to get Naz as soon as that buys off and look at getting Bailey Smith a bit further down the track when you can.
Nas. I don't think anyone's called him Nas before. Just renowned hip hop artist Nas. Bring him in.
That's him, mate. Nas. Yeah.
The bars Nas in the much more posh version of our awards in 2027. No, great stuff, boys. I'm with you. Shane is going to go the other end of town. He wants to talk about Noah. I'm going to keep calling him Noah. I don't know if that's caught on anywhere, but I'm really going with that for Hugo Hulkan.
I think people have noticed. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I don't listen. I just assume that everyone takes in what I say and catches on. But alas, Shane wants to know if we can ride the wave for a few more weeks, if he's our last rookie and upgrade to Ubers around him, or do we cash in with the last week of 3 trades to bring in a 6th defender, if we count Hugo Hulkan? I'll throw that one to you, Urban. I guess how confident are we in him being our 22nd?
That was a very fantasy-friendly game. We've seen a lot of big scores. I'm not sure if we're going to see that every week. And all those defenders did really well. How often are we going to see that every week? I think, was that 4 defenders turned up? Would it have been, or close to? Malira went well. Yeah, HHK, Mr. Noah, went pretty good. Keen's come in. He's turned. Laird doing his thing. That can't be sustainable, I'd say, and you wouldn't want to be banking on the rookie. Could we have another look next week? Yes, and then sort out the defenders, because I don't think there's much defenders this week that I'd want to grab. Apart from maybe Wilmot, but you've got the Zorko hanging over his head. Looking at Nobles, maybe that people don't have. I'd ride it for another week. You could see. I'm not sure who they've got. Who was their matchup this week? But you wouldn't want to ride that for too long. That's a showdown. Jesus. Yeah. It's a tough one. I'm prepared. He's on field for me this week, and I'll hide him behind the best 18. But coming out of buys and going back to best 22, we don't really want to be relying on a rookie, even if he's mature, new to the team, carrying us all that way. But he did look very good. We'll take the bump in score and the bump in price and make moves for him in a couple of weeks.
One of the things I'm considering is just play like minor devil's advocate. Is that given all the premium injuries we've had, and I seem to have copped a lot of them the last month or so, is I'm probably not going to have a fully premium team coming out of the buys because I've had to sideways 4 or 5 guys through this period. So I'm considering rolling with him and Jai Sarong as a loop at D6, which I think I'm okay with. Jai Sarong's actually got a lot of really early games for the next month or so. So you'll get a look at him most weeks, and if it fails, then you're pivoting to someone else. Because the other thing with like all these injuries to these defenders is it probably brings the bar down on what our D6 is. Instead of it being a 9,500, it might be a 90. So if you can get something decent out of one of those 2 guys on each week, then you can maybe upgrade elsewhere. But do really like the look of Noah. The way he's playing, it's absolutely kick season for him.
Yeah. Because I do think this is the way to play the game this year with the new time on ground and 50% rule. We've seen it on the weekend. We're going to want to be able to rotate a 6th and a 7th in our lines, or an 8th and a 9th in the midfield for the rest of the season. You can't be caught short with an injury. And if that's the case, then you might want to, as you just said, pull back on getting a full primo and just getting 2 good defenders in this case that could score you an 80 or a 90 on that week and roll them through the rest of the season.
I hope our Noah Khan fans enjoyed that one, DC. For people that are on YouTube who can now see us, I certainly enjoyed that. That was well played.
I was wondering what you guys are going on about. I missed it.
It took me a moment.
Kick season. His most famous song, Stick Season. So
yes, that was nicely
Hugo
done.
can have kick season.
No, look, I agree with all that, and this is a slight frustration from me, DC. HHK is going to be my 24th as of next week. I'm going to be running Colby McKercher, who kind of doesn't count, as my forward loop, and he was going to be both defender and forward. But Noah will be my 24th next week, unless we hit Carnage, which we undoubtedly will again. So I just think it's really interesting, right? Like, and we've talked about this a little bit, and I know we'll cover it a lot next season. Spoiler alert, we're not going anywhere because we talk about things that we're going to do differently in our preseason pods. And I think what I've said this year is that, 24 players every week at the buys, and coming out of the buys with 24 potential scorers. I feel like I have not deserved to slip 6,000 spots. But what the reality has been is by being so well planned, I've actually maybe cost myself a lot of points.
Haven't been aggressive enough.
Yeah, in preference of being planned. I've just lost some of the great opportunities to take on the big guys, which is a really important part of this time of the year that, it's good to get one part of it right, but you really have to get all parts or you can easily see this slide. So it's a good reminder for those at this time of year to kind of look at what you could have done differently. And I'm certainly taking a lot from it in a positive sense to go, I would have been just as okay with 22 or 23. Like this week, I had 2 70s and a 64 drop off. So if I had 18, 19, I still probably would have been fine, and I had better 19 on field. Yeah, no,
I made that realization a couple of years ago. We had that dreadful set of buy rounds, and then the last 2 years I've tried to be a bit more aggressive. And we've spoken about it a couple of times, but I really think the 3 trades are your best opportunities to get some of these uber premiums. It's so much easier to get them with 3 trades. So if you're not doing that during the buys, you're then having to try and do it with 2 trades coming out. So and you're spending more of the season without them in your team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get to some more. Obviously, Jack Sinclair we've covered briefly. No surprise to anyone. The high-grade calf strain means he is an absolute trade now. There's no point holding and keeping that cash on field. Even though he was missing this week, you may as well use that cash and go into next week cashed up if need be. So Henza has said, gents, with Roberts and Sinclair now out, I'd be interested to hear who your top 6 defenders are now. Now, obviously, we could say it's Mark Keane, as the app tells us, but I think we're going to leave him out of this one just for now. We have talked about the fact that is there enough room for all those Crows players? But DC, I guess the ones that Henza has suggested is Nasiah, Ash, Whitfield, Holmes as the first 4, which I think we probably all agree with. And then he said Parker and Wilkie at D5, D6. Now, we did this for forwards last week. Do you agree with all of the 6 or even that first 4, first and foremost?
Yeah, the first 4, I think maybe a touch of recency bias with Parker and Wilkie less so. Wilkie's been very good. So maybe have him close. But, I mean, John Noble's obviously been the informed defender the last 6+ weeks. I'd still have him in there. I think he's shown enough to deserve to be in there. He's averaging over 100. But yeah, otherwise, pretty solid list considering we've got Sinclair injured, we've got Zorko injured, we've got Roberts injured. There's a lot of guys that would be banging on the door there. I mean, Rory Laird's had a pretty good last month too. So there's a few guys around the level. You could maybe see someone like a Bailey Dale, Wayne Miller finishing strong enough as well, but they're sort of all within a few points of each other. But yeah, I'd have Parker sort of more in with that group rather than being in the top 6 group personally.
I think the 2 names you forgot, Josh Dacos, definitely kind of closer to that top of the list for mine, and maybe Jaden Short as well, probably more for the second list. And yeah, I think Wilmot Zorko are probably the 2 most interesting names just because of the potential ceilings we've seen. Urban, your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we've got like a clear top 4. That 5 and 6 is open season. Well, we've seen ebb and flow. Like Parker did 3 or 4 weeks of 80s, I think, just before this weekend. So there's no real set 5th and 6th for me. It's rolling through for the rest of the season and probably matchup dependent. Not many of them put 60-point quarter on like Jacobs, though.
Caleb Daniel went close. It was a pretty ridiculous score, but
well, yeah.
I mean, this is part of the reason why I'm kind of okay with rolling with a loop at D6 because I think you really probably will only need a 90 out of them to sort of be within touch. And if you can improve your team elsewhere, that might be the move, given the all of a sudden we're lacking a bit of depth there.
Could Merritt get defender status?
Possibly. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. There's enough time.
Yeah, if he keeps that role permanently.
Okay. When does a little bit of time.
End of round 17. So 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Worth an eye, that's for sure. I think, if it's a midfielder, you're still probably worth bringing him in right now. And if he becomes a defender, then you're absolutely stoked. So I think there's a win-win for Merritt looker honourers. But Jaden said, DC, my Lord and Saviour. This comes straight to you. I know
that is how I prefer to be addressed.
But he said he needs an 800 to 900k defender. So I guess out of the names we've mentioned, Josh Dacos obviously fits the bill. Luke Parker 899, Callum Wilkie now down to 867, albeit on the bye this week would be a problem. Preference out of those names?
Yeah, I mean Wilkie would have been the one if he didn't have the bye, but probably Josh Dacos, I think. Yeah, we just haven't seen much of a ceiling from him at all since round 0? I had a 120 against Essendon, but hasn't gone above 110 since round 3 other than that game. So
very disappointing.
He's probably the one, though. He's probably the one.
Caleb Daniel has shown a ceiling. Any chance against Essendon this week? You'd consider it?
Well, he just played Richmond, so no, I don't think so. I don't think he helped them win.
I'll just reiterate
that much necessarily.
I know he just played Richmond, but he's playing Essendon this week, so I just want to make sure that everyone's here first.
Yeah, no thanks. He's not a great watch either. I'd rather watch Josh Dacos than I would.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Nope, I'm with you. All right, this one's from Bailey. I think it's from Bailey, but we're going to go with Bailey anyway. Urban, he said, hey, lads, a couple of popular decisions for coaches this week. I'll throw to you then to DC. Just a quick, short answer for Heaney versus Anderson and then Parker versus Laird.
Well, I like Heaney because he's not susceptible to the tag, but Anderson, I think, that's a tough one. Oh, Anderson's turned a bit of a corner and he is running pretty well. I still like Heaney there. I'll back that in. He can go up forward and kick goals, and if he has to escape a tag, there's ways around it. Parker versus Laird. I'm just not sure how sustainable that's going to be back in the Adelaide, but Laird is on a tear at the moment, so I'm going to go with him, Laird.
DC, agree or disagree with our good friend?
Yeah, probably Heaney. The other two, I'm not really that interested in either of them, to be honest. So I'll say Dacos.
Oh, you can't do that. I'm not interested in them either, but I gave an answer.
Parker, better matchup this week.
Yeah, I think Parker for the matchup this week, and the fact that Laird now has 3 players for competition. He's had Noah join 3 weeks ago and Mark Keane back last week. He's looked great, but I just can't see 4 of them being sustainable, whereas at least it's been consistent for North as well. So, yeah. I also lean to Heaney as an owner, but watching more Gold Coast games, Noah's role has definitely shifted, and he kind of becomes the first point of distribution through the midfield. He's kind of pulling into half back and getting that first use, which is a bit different to what we've seen in the past, I think. So more upside
really
than I
high top
normally...
too.
Yeah, more upside than I normally see with Nando. So I think both of those guys are great options in current form. So, all right. Stuart has said, I had a great round, fellas, 2005 for the week and have jumped 9,000 spots these buys. That info is not relevant, was just the brag. Well done, Stuart. Well played. Good stuff. This big question for the Brains Trust is trade Darcy Cameron to Grundy or Banfield to Durham, and specifically mentioned if I trade Cameron, I have 21 on field this week, but can get Bailey next week. By Bailey, does he mean Baz Smith or does he mean Zach Bailey? I'm not sure that's clear, DC.
Or Bailey from Fantasy Fanatics.
That too. Or Bailey Banfield.
Possible.
Even better.
Yeah.
Which way are we leaning on that initial set of trades? The ruck, the disappointing ruck from this week to the ruck pig, or Banfield to Durham?
Banfield to Durham, I think. Yeah, I think Cameron against Richmond this week should be better. Durham's been pretty good, and yeah, I mean Banfield hopefully was on your bench anyway, so you should be getting a rookie off field by doing that move. So
He's not even playing, is he?
No.
You'd get rid of the deadwood there, Banfield to Durham, even though I think we've got a bit of trouble running Cameron in the R1, R2 when we're seeing these rucks put on big scores, but for now, definitely Banfield to Durham.
Yeah, I think he clearly needs to go pretty soon, but maybe hold him for one more week. Hope he can get
he's got to get you a better score, because Banfield's not even playing. Yeah.
I think the only thing I would add is it's not Richmond that it has been for the last 10 weeks with Nank back. It is a little bit more of a tougher matchup than it was, but I still would lean to the upgrade. I don't love it, though. Again, I'm still not a big Durham fan, but I'm slightly concerned about Grundy myself. So I'd almost just kind of wait and see for a week what comes out in the wash and go from there. All right, we're sticking with Essendon because Ben wants to know that with Parrish and Caldwell back this week and Setterfield finding form, is Durham now a trap? So you boys have just said to trade Durham.
You answer that one.
No, I really wanted to set you guys up to say Durham, and now you tell everyone he's a trap after telling Stuart to bring him in this week, DC.
I mean, in my mind, he's the one out of those 4 that maybe Caldwell aside that should be spending the most time in the midfield. But Caldwell's just missed, at least a month. So he's going to be eased back in. Setterfield was delisted and then re-rookied, I think, this offseason. So he's really there as backup, even though he has been playing well and he's one of my boys. And then, Parrish had a couple of decent games in there, but is he helping them win games? I'm not really sure he is. I just think Durham's a way more dynamic player in there. I think they need to be keeping him as one of those key mids. So I'm reasonably confident he'll be okay because they can play Setterfield and Caldwell in particular in slightly different roles. Parrish is probably a one-trick pony, but I think they'll shuffle the other guys around, particularly with Caldwell coming back.
No, I'm happy with that. I think Durham makes the most sense. I still question his full ceiling. I know that he has the games, but a consistent ceiling. But I think he's
still cheap enough that I think if you're getting 80s, 90s out of him, it's probably good enough for F6.
No, I'm with you. All right, Thomas's question then for you, Urban. Is it time to give up yet? That's not the question. That's just the first part of it. But in all seriousness, Cameron to Jackson, it's a little bit different to the Grundy in, or Selwood to Will Day or Durham, which is an interesting one. Obviously, you're getting kind of the underpriced guy that might complete your 22, or do you go the guy who has a shown and proven ceiling? So kind of the discussion about what I've been doing versus what maybe I should have done. It's just whether the Jackson 160 is closer to the norm than the 70s we were seeing prior to that.
Yeah, see, Jackson comes with a flag, I think a red flag anyway, of that sort. I'm still a bit concerned for in-game management, and if we get another game or two clear and sew up that minor premiership, we could see some players seriously rested, and he could definitely be on that list. I'm still concerned with in-game management there, but we're seeing it with Grundy, with Cox talking about resting him, so not much option there either if we're trying to avoid that kind of carnage for our teams. I do like the Will Day, though. Some people might say it's a bit early, but I watched that game on the weekend. He is elite. He is such a good footballer. He is so clean, picking up the ball. He's hungry for it. They look for him. Only 67% TOG, and he was 67% TOG the game before on the weekend. I was hoping to see an increase into the 70s, but we should see that, I think, increase 70s and 80s. And for the price, I can't see him being less than a 90, 95 player, and I'm expecting him to go even more than that. He's easily their best player. Hawks need him playing. They want to lock up a top 4 spot. He's coming back and he's hungry, and he looks so good when he's on the field. He's just a great player. I love the Will Day option.
He's definitely one of those guys that has the visual appeal, like just classy footballer. It's just whether or not he gets the body right. And I think that's my only concern is, will there be an uptick on time of ground, or are they just going to manage him throughout the year just to try and get his body right? And then
he's filling all stat lines, Jake. He's hitting all stat lines, mate. Tackles, marks, the whole lot.
Do you remember what happened last year, Urban? Do you remember what happened? We thought, what's the worst he could be? And then he was an 80 guy. So that's the cautionary tale. But he is ripe for the picking at the price. I'm not going to argue that with anyone.
He looks very good.
Yeah. If you have to go there, if he's the best you can get to, I think
we talk about it, and I think it's a low risk and high reward move. I think the worst that can be for you is what you said then, an 85 player that you're paying 800,000 for. So you're not really losing out there. You start getting the scores that you could have got if you went somewhere else. The risk is quite low, I feel, with this one. And if he does get another injury, they've got the TOG thing to hide behind. I just see it as an easy play. Will Day.
Yep. Time on ground rule helps Will Day fans all over the world.
And I've got him, so I'm not just talking people into it. He's in my team, so I'm putting me money where my mouth is. I think it's just an option, especially if you're looking to climb rank and you're where I am, 1,600, 2,000th, and you really want to make a bit of a move. This is the play you want.
All right.
That's why I'm not considering him. I'm not looking to climb rank.
Too late in the season for that, DC. Can't be having it.
Yeah. No, he's I'm just concerned that he will have low TOG basically for the rest of the year. I don't think
it's a flag.
Going to increase that much, but fully agree. He's an absolute jet of a footballer, so wouldn't really talk you out of it. Just don't be expecting, I think, too much ceiling because he's going to be capped with that TOG.
It is quite annoying. Well, I'm expecting he gets a 75 to 80% TOG. That's what I'm hoping he gets to. So for me, that's enough. He's got good points per minute. Doesn't really need to be on there too long.
All right. Heard it here first. There's some real fans in his corner. Zach's question: Legends, Banks and Heaney, or Laird and Durham? That's the first part. DC, quick answer to
that? Legends, Banks and Heaney. You get 3 players.
Easy.
Urban?
Oh, it's Banks and Heaney. That's no question there. We've got question marks over Laird, question marks over Durham. But Banks and Heaney. Banks has got a role for now, and Heaney's the player you want. So
simple. I agree. Lock that in. And then the last part is Rechko, Jagger, or Roby. Which of those would you trade out? I'm assuming it's pick 1 rather than pick 2.
Yeah.
I'm trading Rechko out this week over Jagger. Jagger just has the forward status to hide behind. But Rechko or Roby, that's probably a bit tighter. I think Rechko's just started to lose cash, so I'm good with Rechko. Urban?
Yeah. Oh, I've got Jagger. That whole experiment really didn't go too well. Didn't go too bad. Didn't go too well either. Another frustrating player can score well and then disappear. But he's got the West Coast this week. He's got West Coast this weekend, so I'm holding for another week. We should see a decent score there as long as he doesn't disappear again. But we have seen him dropping the CBAs. Hewitt back has really screwed with that. Cripps is now being in there all the time, really pushing this revival of Carlton. And Walsh is still floating around doing his thing. So I'll hold Jagger for another week, but he's on the chopping block as well. So I'd probably go Retzko or Roby. I don't think either's wrong.
Yeah, probably. I guess there's not too many good forward options, but a good midfield crop, I suppose, might lean a certain way. DC, but
Yes.
for you,
Rechko for me goes first for sure.
beautiful. All right, last couple here, boys. Before we figure out what to do with a certain segment without Nathan, but this one's from Stefan, and he said "Football Friends," which is a cracking reference. It's been a while since I thought about the in-betweeners, and by a while I mean 2 days, which is a long time for me. He said, have we missed the boat with Jordan De Goey, and are we better off saving the cash with a Warner, Zach Bailey, Durham? Why have we got so many Durham questions this week, might I add?
I don't know.
Interesting one, but a good dialogue, I suppose. First part is, have we missed the boat with De Goey? He's still scoring well. Could you still bring him in at his price?
Well, missed the boat in terms of he's clearly no longer really value, but the way he's playing, he's a top 6 forward. So at this stage of the season, I'm not going to talk you out of bringing in a top player in their line. So from that perspective, no, you haven't missed the boat on him. I brought him in this week, scored brilliantly. He's got Richmond this week as well. He's probably going to score brilliantly again. So yeah, if you think he's your best forward option, I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Would you say, DC, that Jordan De Goey might be on track for Jake's second consecutive pick of the season, except this time I didn't pick him myself. I just told everyone else to do it.
Yeah, definitely good advice.
Like, he's got to be close. You bring him.
I'm not sure you can brag if you don't bring him in. So
No, but we do awards at the end of the year for pick of the season. Like,
best
currently,
advice, maybe.
Yeah, based, what was he, 600s at the time? We were talking about Durham, and he's averaged 105, maybe more since then, 108 since then. Priced in the 600s. Could he be leading the race for that award, is what I'm wondering.
Possibly.
Jadig Potts.
Jadig
Potts. Look, he's looking very good. I brought him in on the weekend as well, and he looks like he's just loving his footy at the moment. Collingwood are loving him, loving his footy. And owners are just loving Collingwood, loving him, loving his footy. So it's been very good. And I think with where Collingwood, we've always worried about rest for De Goey, but I think where Collingwood is on the ladder and how they want to push the rest of the season, that's my concern with De Goey, but they're not in a position to rest players at the moment. And he is on fire. He looks like he's just loving his footy, as I said. It's the kind of player you want in your team.
I think loving his footy, and then the fans are loving the players, loving him, loving his footy.
Yeah, everyone's just a lot of love around To Goey. Nah, look, he just looks good. I don't think he's missed the boat. I just said he's going to be pushing that top 6, if not top 6, towards the end from now to the end of the season, if it stays the way it is. So you just want to get him in.
You heard it here first. As long as he keeps loving his footy, you should be loving De Goey. But yes. I guess the secondary part to that question is, would you pay up? Or does a Warner, Zach Bailey? I'm going to rule Durham.
No.
Talked about he's okay. Warner, with the Sydney injuries, is there any way you'd go that direction?
Well, Goulden's almost back, and that's a watch then to see how that affects the team. At full throttle, I think Warner's going to drop out of the CBAs a little bit, but you've probably got a little bit of time you can bring him in for while Goulden finds his feet, I think. But being a Warner owner, it's not an easy life.
I'd still have Durham over those two. He's 200k cheaper than De Goey now.
Yeah, well,
still low 700s. Whereas the other two are, Chad Warner's 860. He's not going to be 140k better than Durham with current roles. I'd still be saving the money and going Durham if you're not going De Goey.
Fair enough. All right. Leg ends, aka feet. That's a new one and another enjoyable one. Thank you, Sam. Does resident Eagles expert DC rate Herbert's job security? I might say that I don't know about his job security, but I loved watching him play. I love that highlights reel here of him just taking the game on the other week, DC. So it must be exciting as an Eagles fan. The interesting part from Sam's question is he can afford Heaney, Nando, or Ashcroft, but is considering getting Herbert so that he's got the cash for Baz and Nass next week. So it's a very unique play, not grabbing still an Uber premium, but just under top of the line. to hopefully get the two best players, in his opinion, next week.
Yeah.
If it changes anything, is fielding 18 primos, these?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably still go, probably not Ashcroft. I think aside from that game before his bye, he was pretty disappointing for 6 weeks or so. So I'd probably still go Heaney and Nando. But yeah, Herbert's has looked good. He looks comfortable at AFL level. I think you'll want him at some point, but he'll hopefully still be cheap enough next week for you to grab him. Anyway, Herbert, or as the Americans call him, Herbert.
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 Yeah. Could you hide behind the best 18 last round of the buys? Could you hide behind the 18 and cash up? That's the question, because
No.
you definitely want to get my New York State of Mind Naz in next week, right? But the other two players, I think I'd put them ahead of Heaney, Nando, and Ashcroft as a priority to get into your team. It's hard to say to cash up for next week, but you do want a bit in the bank for next week. We're back to 2 trades, and there's players that we want.
I in theory, if I hadn't had, as DC pointed out, 4 consecutive weeks of an unplanned premium injury trade, and probably 10 out of the 15 weeks of the current season, imagine cashing up and then you're banking 700k again for like the 3rd time this season. It just get the guy that's like, what are they, 5 points off? Maybe just get the guy that's 5 points off, and then in 2 weeks' time, worry about which of the Baz or Naz you didn't get. There's going to be another injury this week. Let's face it. I don't know.
I think that's the risk.
Yeah.
Just thinking, is Sean Lemon still in the AFL? Did he get delisted?
No, he is not in the AFL because Ned Moyle took his number because he liked Sean Lemon so much he changed his number for the 3rd time in 3 seasons, I believe.
Wow. I was just thinking it'd be so good if someone could bring in 3 players this week. Bring in Nando, they bring in Herbert, and they bring in Sean Lemons. So you get Nando with Lemons and Herberts.
There's your team name for next
Very
year.
good.
There is.
Very good. That is a team name.
Yeah. Good stuff, DC. Well, our last question for the evening is from Michael. He said, "Call me a Labrador when the couch has been moved." But blind ranking trade or spade was very unsettling. That's a nice one. Please tell me you'll refrain from repeating such reckless behaviour and that traditional trade or spade is back and here to stay. Well, to really throw a spanner in the works, Nathan's not here. So traditional trade or spade certainly isn't here. But DC, have we got a plan in place?
Yeah. So in honour of Michael asking us to not change it, I'm going to do the most chaotic thing I can think of and turn trade or spade into spade or trade, but the spade actually means to trade and the trade actually means to spade.
Oof.
And because Nathan's not here, can we actually play a theme song for him, DC? Like to really grind his gears? What do you think? Is that something we can like make work for the YouTube special?
Yeah, let's give this a go. Hopefully this works.
Trade or spade, let's play. It's back and here to stay. Trade or spade all night. DC and Jake see the light.
All
All right. This is spade or trade, where spade means trade and trade means spade. So, Jake, Darcy Cameron.
Oh gosh,
trade or spade, spade trade.
I said I wouldn't let anything this chaotic happen, and I've let it happen without Nathan on the show. Darcy Cameron is a trade because you should wait a week to just figure it out.
Well done, Jake. Very clear. Urban Christian Petrarca.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the trade for now. We're still unsure about these forwards. He looks a lot better when they put him around the ball. Scoring's a bit of an issue. I did flag that he could possibly not even be a top 6 forward from here to the end of the season, but I haven't seen enough to make that relevant to what I'll do with him in my team. I'd just trade him into your team. Keep him there.
Yeah, totally agree. Jake, my boy, Jake Bowie.
Ooh. This is confusing. He is a spade, but more because I don't know who I would spade him into at the current point in time. he's not been great, but
Wait, so stop confusing everyone, Jake. Are you spading him or are you trading him? Is he?
no, you're
Are you keeping him in
you're-
your team and trading him, or are you flicking him out and spading him?
oh yes, I got that the wrong way around again, didn't I? You should trade him because there's no one else to
Right. Good.
spade him into.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Urban coming off the bye. Dan Houston. Poor again this week.
Yeah, if one thing the Sinclair injury did was move Houston closer to the top 6, but not for any good reasons. Look, you want to get your shovel and spade him out of your team. I think there's other defender options there that can put on a ceiling, which is what you want to see between now and the end of the year.
Very good. Jake Tanner-Bruin on the bye this week.
Urban gets this much better than I thought I did for a moment. Tanner Bruin is a spade. I said he would do what he did last week, and he did it. And he's going to go back to being 50s. So please spade him out of your team while you can and before you regret it. Baz is back after the bye too.
Totally agree. I'm not even sure I'm going to ask this one, but Jack Steele, he's definitely a spade. Absolutely has to go. Spade the shit out of him.
Yes, I agree.
Urban, we'll finish with a couple of Ds, a couple of premium level Ds, but Cozzy Pickett coming off a poor game. He's got the bye this week.
Yeah, this is what you get with Cozzy. Up and down, susceptible to the tag and attention, but can probably put on one of the biggest ceilings of the forward line. So if he's in your team, I would trade him. Just keep him there. But if he's not in your team, if he's not in your team, really look at that run and matchups coming up, because that is the kind of player that you want to bring in at the right time. And just let it be known he's going to average 90, but there's going to be weeks of 60 in there.
Yeah. And Jake will finish with Big Maxi Gorn.
Oh, what an offensive question to Big Max. He's been great, continues to be 4 110s in a row. So you should be trading him every day of the week. Trading him into and
we've always said that team. When someone's scoring 110s, you trade him.
Trade him
that has
straight
been
into
spade or trade.
Thank you, DC.
Thank you.
I don't know what
you, Michael.
Yeah, I don't know what Michael has to think about that. Hopefully, that was easily difficult to decipher for our listeners. Wonderful stuff. And last question officially for this week's episode comes from good friend of the show, Braddles. A leg ends, as is required for him to ask a question. Got a North Melbourne trivia question for you lads. Well, sorry, Braddles, Nathan's not here, so we've missed the memo. What is relevant about the number 39? Urban, any guesses?
Oof, geez, no, nothing at all. It's hard to think like a rude supporter when you're top of the ladder. Yeah, I've got nothing what's relevant about 39. No.
DC, I can ask you, but I know you've read the run sheet, so that feels a little bit pointless. So I'm just going to spoil it for our listeners. If they have guessed that it's the number of points LDU has scored more than Charlie Comben over the last 3 weeks combined, then you're correct. Despite playing both West Coast Eagles and Richmond, he has only averaged 13 more points than Charlie Comben. We talked about him.
Surprised.
And we talked about the fact that these easy matchups is not when LDU shows up, DC, and he has proven us right once again.
Yeah, I think he's just been a perennial fantasy tease. I think we just need to stop considering him as an option because he's never really put it together for any longer than a couple of months stretch. So
100%.
I'd say that's unfortunate, but really you might have seen this coming.
What's the opposite of a flat track bully? Because I feel like that's what LDU is. Like, he is great against tough opposition and is a real barometer. And then he is nowhere to be seen in games that they should be winning comfortably.
He's like a mirror. Like when he's playing against someone really well, he rises to their level, but when he's playing against the average team, he drops to their level.
Yeah, absolutely. Come up with a nickname for that, folks. I'd love to include that. But that is this week's episode for the most part, because I haven't done something incredibly important. And that, of course, is thank our partners for season 2026. And that, of course, are our friends at both Peak Solutions and Game Day Squad. Now, our friends at Peak Solutions, we talked about this last week. We're a week away from end of financial year, so it's a perfect time to either this side or the other side, 1st of July, reach out to your favorite SA business solutions specialists who are on a mission to transform how you're supported every day. We've talked about the fact you finished the year, but when was the last time you reviewed your business's health? And when was the last time you went out and had someone do some business development for you? Because these are the guys who can help you do just that. Or in your spare time, our friends at Game Day Squad are sitting there. They've got the Lord of the Buys competition too. We haven't talked about who's leading that. We're going to keep that one quiet and award a favourite of the show's card to our winner of that competition because of the wonderful job that Urban does on the fantasy platform as well. But outside of that, use the code HATCHAT if you haven't already. You've only got a few weeks to go, but you can still win some wonderful prizes before the year is out. Jump on in. And even if fantasy footy kind of coming to a close for you for the year, don't forget all the other sports that you can jump into and keep the fun going throughout the summer. But we still have a few weeks to go and a few more weeks to ask some live questions, DC, which means Wednesday night this week, Elon, he might be getting the boot. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, we decided that restarting the live stream 47 times was not really acceptable anymore. So that's why we've created the YouTube channel. We're going to have a crack at trying to do it live on YouTube, probably without any video, unlike this version. If you're watching the Monday Night Pod on YouTube, welcome. At the time of recording, I think we had 43 subscribers. So please go and give us a follow and a subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll try and get our listener base up there too. But yeah, we'll have a crack at doing it live this week, and we'll make sure we share that link on Twitter. Probably still pull questions from Twitter and YouTube as well. So we'll see you at 9 p.m. Eastern.
It'll be a bit of a work in progress, but hopefully at least there'll be a consistent audio, and those that tune in get to enjoy anything but DC saying, Jake, are you there? Jake, can you hear me?
Are you there? Hello? Maybe I can even log in.
Last week was the final straw. It really did break the camel's back last week. It was ridiculous.
I can't even log in there. Don't know what I've done to Elon, but yeah.
I bet Elon is shaking in his little tiny boots. He is concerned. He's heard that HatChat Live will be moving away after 5 years of good, hard service. That is, where's their customer support team, DC? That's what I want to know. They should contact Peak Solutions. They might get some good ideas out how to fix this.
Nice.
Now, there's an idea.
Anyway, Urban, thank you so much. Not that you were going to be on anyway. You weren't even going to be Nathan's replacement. We were hoping for a four-way call tonight, but instead you've got to test out YouTube in its finest form. I appreciate you joining us.
No dramas, Jake. Well, thanks for having me. Maybe last week, Lord of the Buys, so we'll see how we go there and just keep pushing that rank.
Thank you, mate.
You can find me at Urban Garuda or at the pub, as I like to say. I'm watching the Socceroos. Go the Socceroos. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for hosting everyone's favourite mid-season competition once again, mate. We love your work. We love all the time that we get to have with you on the show as well. So thank you very much.
Good for putting it on.
Where are the guys finding you?
Yes, you can find me in 720p on YouTube because that's all my laptop camera does. And at DC Caterpillars.
That's well played. You can find me at Douglas Donuts. You can find us at HatChat AFL. Is that also our handle on YouTube, DC?
It sure is. I think.
At HatChat AFL on Instagram, Twitter, except not really on there, and YouTube now. So that is a change. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Fingers crossed most of our listeners continue to watch audibly, aka listen, rather than watching us visually, because I'm not sure this is our preferred format.
Heads for podcasts, we've got heads for podcasts.
Exactly right. But whatever allows people to listen in a enjoyable manner for them. So fingers crossed, give us some feedback. Happy to take it on board as best as we can. But most of all, good luck in the last round of the buys. Hopefully you don't hold rank at whatever rank you are and you do find a way to move up before we head into the final stretch of the season. But otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.